I've been an artist for over 5 years, but there's something I've been for far, far longer. Clinically depressed. I'm guessing you clicked on this video because, unfortunately, you can relate. You probably know how difficult it is to pick up your pen on the darkest of days, let alone every day like you're supposed to. The question is, why even bother trying to be an artist when your depression keeps you from achieving anything? If you're like me, you've tried and given up on countless things, from higher education to a successful career to any resemblance of a stable, normal life. When I look at all my past failures and my current struggle to become a good artist, it has been my lack of consistency that has repeatedly foiled my efforts. When you're too depressed to go to school every day, you lose participation points and get behind on assignments. When you're too depressed to go to work every day, you get reprimanded and eventually terminated. And when you're too depressed to draw every day, you don't improve at the rate you'd like, or sometimes at all. So why am I here? Is it just to complain about how difficult my life is? No. Okay, maybe just a little. But what I would like to present is why, despite giving up on a lot of things, a lot of really important things like school and a stable career, I haven't given up on drawing yet. And spoiler alert, no, it's not just because it's fun or relaxing or even because it's fulfilling. You'll know why by the end of the video. Okay, look, I know every YouTuber wants their viewers to stick to the end of their videos because higher retention rate makes the numbers go burr, but I honestly wholeheartedly wrote this script and made this video because I hate what depression does to me, and I wish it wouldn't hold a strangle on your life in a similar way. I hope you can watch the whole thing and maybe gain a new perspective. Obligatory disclaimer, I'm just a dumb little VTuber lady, not a doctor. None of this is mental health or medical advice. Seek a professional for actual help. Part 1. Why I'm just like you. Why do I think this video may inspire you more than other you should continue drawing videos? It's because I'm just like you for real. Okay, but seriously, give me a second. To give you my perspective, to me it's really difficult to be inspired by other people I should relate to. Yes, there are millions of depressed people out there, and many of them are artists, but sometimes I don't really want to listen to their advice. My social media feed is 90% artists, and they are pretty much all fantastic. Sometimes they talk about their mental health struggles. I legitimately think it's great that people are open to sharing their hardships, and I bet a lot of people are comforted by the fact that someone else is experiencing something similar to them. But for some reason, my terrible, cynical mind just goes straight to, okay, this person has mental health issues like me, but unlike me, they're actually able to overcome it and become a skilled, successful artist. I feel awful. This type of thinking helps no one, but it's a trap I fall into every day. Perhaps you do too. What I'm trying to say is, I hope you could find me a little more relatable, as I can admit suffering from the more ugly sides of depression. I feel like even now, there's still a lot of pressure from the world to be perfect, even when you're mentally ill. To be talented, to be able to overcome your struggles, to have nice, pure thoughts. Even if the world generally accepts that depression is a thing, it's only really kind to people who are still functional in spite of it. We only look up to the depressed people who can tell an inspirational story of how they fought against mental illness and became someone great. Not to say that there's anything wrong with this, these people worked hard and earned our respect. On the other hand, we don't celebrate people who are still failures. We don't celebrate people who are bitter and cynical and jealous of more successful people. And I understand why. These generally aren't pleasant traits. But today I want to tell you that you don't have to be ashamed if you consider yourself a failure, or sometimes have terrible mean thoughts. Of course, we should always strive to be better, but it's okay to be in a bad place. Trust me, I'm just like you. I'm constantly comparing myself to others and hating the fact that I can't be like them. I'm always left wondering how other people of the same or even worse hardships than me are successful. My VTuber persona is a crane game angel, but I won't even pretend I'm even close to a perfect person. I made this video so I can tell you, from flawed person to flawed person, why despite being terribly depressed, I continue to draw. Part 2. My story of drawing and depression. I don't think my journey of mental health problems is particularly unique, but I hope by sharing my experiences you'll get to know me better and perhaps see yourself in my story. I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder when I was in middle school, but who knows when it really started. I've also always been vaguely into art, though I never committed to formally studying it. Throughout my childhood, and even now in some ways, one of my biggest struggles was the lack of identity and self-esteem. I didn't spend much of my developing years pursuing my passions or gaining useful skills. Rather, I spent most of my time sleeping because depression makes you tired and not want to do anything. I went to school maybe 2 to 3 days a week, and when I wasn't busy catching up on assignments I missed due to my absences, I was sleeping. I think I slept 16 hours a day sometimes. I would get headaches because I was in bed too much. Depression made me so tired, physically and emotionally, that I abandoned all my obligations to take naps instead. And since I missed out so much on life, I was ashamed of being behind all my peers, academically, socially, everythingly. I didn't want to engage with the world. And that lack of engagement, lack of any action on my part, made me a boring person. I wasn't a person who happened to be depressed. I was a depressed person. That's all I was. But even someone like me had a few moments of clarity. When the COVID lockdowns first started, I dabbled in digital art to pass the time. I downloaded Krita, bought a cheap pen tablet, and badly drew anime guys. I thought it was pretty fun, and a few years later, I wanted to commit to drawing as my thing, as something I could get better at and finally define myself with. I didn't want to just be a depressed person. I wanted to be an artist. But I think that's a lot easier said than done. In the beginning, I drew very sporadically. Sometimes I'd draw for 8 hours straight, and sometimes I'd go for months without picking up my pen. Eventually, I hit that dreaded plateau as most artists do. I was perhaps better than the average Joe, but I was barely at an intermediate level. I think at this point, most artists either commit to studying fundamentals to improve, or just kinda give up and stick to drawing at their current level. Not saying that there's anything wrong with the latter. It's okay to not want to bother with the fundamentals and just draw for fun and improve at your own pace. And of course, you can always come back to studying later. Anyways, I tried to study anatomy, and it was actually pretty fun. But I think after a while, I started to lose motivation. And then life happened, leaving me depressed and lacking energy to do anything, much less draw. I think in the last couple of years, I really stagnated. I mean, I started this channel about a year ago and draw regularly on streams, but it's mostly been simplistic stuff like emotes and silly little doodles rather than the fully rendered illustrations I used to do. Not that simplistic equals bad, but I feel like I haven't been pushing through my limitations or learning anything new. If you look at one of my illustrations from this past year, the quality isn't that much better than this illustration from 3 years ago. I think the lighting is slightly more sophisticated in the more recent drawing, but I don't feel that it's a 3 years of progress type of improvement. I think this makes sense of the overall timeline of things. I was laid off from a job I liked around 2 years ago, and although I worked hard on creating my Vtuber model and starting my channel, my efforts were disorganized and sporadic because I was so depressed most of the time. There were a lot of days where I felt nothing mattered. Even if I can muster up the energy to draw, it's pointless because I'll have to overcome the same hurdle tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after to even start to improve. And I just didn't believe I could beat my depression that many times. I think what healthy people don't realize about depression is that it's not something you could just overcome once and you win. To really stand up against it, you have to fight every day. It gets so overwhelming and tiring and discouraging when you feel like you've lost to depression more days than you won against it. But despite that, despite how terribly inconsistent I am or how little I improve, I'm still drawing. Why is that? Part 3, why I'm still drawing. I'm finally gonna answer the burning question, why bother drawing when you're too depressed to give it your all? I think a lot of people would say that you should continue creating art even if you're not good at it or you're too depressed to try your best, because of the inherent benefits of art. They say drawing relieves stress, it's fun, it's fulfilling. I agree with these statements, but this is assuming that you actually pick up the pen and start drawing. The problem is that I'm often too depressed to even start. And when I sporadically draw, I feel bad that I'm not doing enough to improve. That becomes a stress in of itself and can sometimes cancel out any of the inherent benefits of doing art. It's kind of like how people always recommend exercising to help with depression. Yes, it's scientifically proven to work, but it's so darn difficult to get myself out of bed and do anything that I usually don't end up exercising. And on the rare occasion I do hit the treadmill, it doesn't feel that great because I know that without consistent daily exercise, it's not really going to make much of a difference on my mental health. Another argument in support of continuing to draw, even if you've been terrible for a long time, is that if you keep practicing, you'll get good, eventually. And it's okay to take a long time because everyone's circumstances are different. Unfortunately, unless you're studying art thoughtfully and consistently, it's very possible for you to never improve. I just want to say I'm not trying to discourage anyone with this statement. Most people do improve at least a little just by drawing what they like when they feel like it. Not saying you have to dedicate yourself to drawing boxes every day or attend an art class to become a great artist. However, directionless, infrequent doodling, in my experience, may not help you get to the level you like. In regards to the second statement that it's okay to take a long time to improve, I definitely agree with the sentiment. Though more often than not, I end up negatively comparing my slow progress to others anyways. So why the heck do I keep drawing? I'm just sharing all these awful negative viewpoints. Why should someone with crippling depression even try? It's not because any part of the journey is guaranteed to make you feel better at any time. It's not because I can promise you that you'll overcome your depression and achieve what you want. I'll be honest, I don't know anything about you, besides the fact that you're watching a video about why you should continue drawing when you're very, very depressed. I don't know how your life will turn out. No one does. So I won't give you platitudes like you can do it or things will get better. What I will say is that you've already suffered a lot. Even though a lot of us have mental health issues, we're all unique, so no one can fully understand what you've been through. My therapist always tells me that the only person who can fully sympathize with you, the only person who can always be there for you, is yourself. Loved ones can support you, but I've learned through many years of relying on others that there's no way for someone to completely save you from depression. Someday, we all have to learn to fight for ourselves. But how? There are lots of ways to combat depression, from big things like going to a mental health professional regularly, to even the littlest things like telling yourself you can try again tomorrow. But I think creating art, expressing yourself, and leaving a beautiful little mark on the world is one of the most wonderful ways to fight. It's a way of showing that, yes, I'm alive, even if depression doesn't want me to be. I have ideas, feelings, emotions bottled up inside of me, and I'm gonna try my very best to bring them to life. Even if it doesn't always look good, it's distinctly mine. It's proof that I'm here, that I lived and suffered and felt so moved by an idea that I just had to put it on paper. That is the reason why I continue to pick up my pen. But there's something even more important that extends beyond just drawing and art. There's a reason to continue pushing on, even if life hurts so badly. Again, it's not because anyone can guarantee that things will get better. I can't tell you how you should think, but I believe that I've suffered enough. Life has been tough, to say the least. Unfair, perhaps, and I've been so cruel towards myself through my bitter, angry thoughts and lack of self-care. But I don't want to disappear someday, having lived a miserable life and having never resisted it. Even if I'll never be happy, no matter how hard I try, I think I owe it to myself to keep fighting, to keep drawing. Thank you for listening to my rambling. I can only hope this video has inspired you, even just a tiny little bit, to fight for yourself, to make a big, disruptive scene, to resist the depression that has suffocated you for so long, through your beautiful, passionate art. Charity shout-out time. Have you ever wanted to go to therapy for your mental health but just couldn't afford it? Or maybe you're at the other end of the spectrum. You want to financially support those who need therapy but don't know how to. Either way, I wanted to share an awesome nonprofit organization that addresses both these concerns. This is To Write Love on Her Arms, and according to their website, they are a nonprofit movement dedicated to presenting hope and finding help for people struggling with depression, addiction, self-injury, and suicide. To Write Love on Her Arms exists to encourage, inform, inspire, and also to invest directly into treatment and recovery. They provide therapy scholarships to people in need all around the world, and my channel is currently running a fundraiser to help this awesome organization. If you need help accessing mental health care or would like to generously donate to Write Love on Her Arms, check out the description, all the links are there. Thank you for watching, I hope we meet again.